Hello and welcome to the lesson. Today we continue with the topic mergers and acquisitions. In our previous 5 sessions, we've been studying how to value a target company for mergers and acquisition purposes. We've analyzed 5 models. One is the net asset valuation model. Number 2 is the PE ratio model. Number 3 is the dividend growth model. Number 4, super profits model. Number 5, the capital asset pricing model. Then number 6 is the discounted free cash flows model. In those sessions, we defined what these models entail. We gave the formula. We discussed the limitations and the advantages of each model. Today, we are going to work out one illustrative example that will capture 3 of the models. That is the price earnings ratio model, the dividend growth model, and the discounted free cash flow model. This is an illustrative example from the CASNEB Advanced Financial Management past paper. And the question reads as follows. Rona Hotel Limited is currently evaluating a proposal to take over Duet Restaurant Limited. The board of directors of Rona Limited is in the process of making a proposal for acquisition of Duet Restaurant Limited, but first needs to place a value on the company. Rona Limited has gathered the following financial data. So we have the weighted average cost of capital, 12%. The PE ratio is 12 times. Shareholders' required rate of return is 15%. Additional information. 1. Current dividend payment per share is 2.7 shillings. Then we have number 2, past 5 years dividend payout or payment for the year 2027, the year 2028, the year 2029, the year 2020 and 2021. Number 3, the current earnings per share is 3.7 shillings. Number 4, the number of issued ordinary shares are 5 million shares. Then we have more information, additional information. Number 1, it is estimated that the shareholders of Duet Restaurant Limited require a rate of return of 10% higher than that of Rona Limited, owing to the higher level of risk associated with the Duet Restaurants Limited's associations or operations. Number 2, Rona Restaurant Limited estimates that the free cash flows from Duet Restaurant Limited at the end of the 5-year will be 2.5 million shillings, and this will grow at an annual rate of 5% for the first 4 years, after which the growth rate will revert to the historical earnings dividend growth rate in perpetuity. 3. Rona Limited expects to raise 5 million at the end of year 2 by selling off hotels of Duet Limited that are surplus of its needs. Required, estimate the values of Duet Restaurant Limited using the following valuation approaches. 1 is the PE ratio model. Number 2, the dividend growth model. Number 3, we have the discounted free cash flow basis. So that is the question. That is the question. And we are required to calculate the PE ratio model. Using the PE ratio model, we are supposed to determine the valuation of this target company. We read that Rona Hotel Limited is currently evaluating a proposal to take over Duet Restaurant. So Duet is the target and Rona is the acquirer. We are given information on Rona Hotel Limited. That is the weighted average cost of capital, the PE ratio, and the shareholders' required rate of return. Then we have information on Duet Restaurant Limited. We have the current DPS. Then we have the past dividend payments for the last 5 years. So we are required to estimate the value of Duet restaurant using number 1, the PE ratio model. So we begin with the PE ratio model. PE ratio model. PE ratio model. Valuation, this is illustration. It's August 2022, question 2B. We are answering August 2022, question 2B. That is Advanced Financial Management CASNE past paper question. So we are, first of all, to determine the value of this target company using the PE ratio model. Value. So this is Roman 1. Roman 1. Value of Duet. Estimate values of Duet restaurant. Value of Duet restaurant using PE ratio. Using the PE ratio basis. Using the PE ratio basis. So to get the value of this company, we are going to take the PE ratio. Do we have it? We'll take the PE ratio, we multiply by the earnings. It's very simple. We will take the PE ratio, which is 12 times. Look at the question. Look at the question. The first table there is Rona Hotel Limited. The PE ratio. The PE ratio is 12 times. So we have 12 times. That is the ratio. Times the earnings. Times the earnings. Times the earnings. What is the earnings? Not number 3. Under Duet restaurant. Under Duet restaurant, we have note number 3. The current earnings per share. We need to calculate the earnings. So the earnings per share there is 3.7. Note number 3, the current earnings per share for Duet is 3.7. Then we multiply by what we have in note number 4, the number of issued ordinary shares, 5 million. So this we multiply by 5 million shares. That will give us the earnings. We take the earnings per share times the number of shares. That will give us the earnings. We have the PE ratio provided in the question. So the product of the PE ratio and earnings is going to give us the value of Duet restaurant using the PE ratio. So we take the calculator and multiply. 3.7 times 5 million. 3.7 times 5 million. Then we multiply by 12. This is equal to 222 million. This will be equal to 222 million is the value of this company using the PE ratio. 222 million is the value of Duet restaurant using the PE ratio basis. Using the PE ratio basis. Then what will be the value of this company? Roman number 2, we have to calculate the value of this company using the dividend growth model. Dividend growth model. Now to calculate the value of this company using the dividend growth model, we have the formula P naught. So the formula is P naught. P naught. P naught. The formula is P naught is equal to D naught 1 plus G over KE minus G over KE minus G. That is how to calculate the value of the company, where P naught is the value of the company, D naught is the dividend per share, G is a growth rate, then K is the cost of equity. These variables will give us the value of this company. So we check from the question, do we have the dividend per share? Look at the question. In note number 3, we read the current earnings per share is 3.7. Under Duet Restaurant, do you see that? Current dividend payment is 2.7. So we have the current dividend is 2.7. The current dividend is 2.7. We do not have the growth rate. We do not have the growth rate. And candidates, when given history of dividends per share, in this question, we have the history of dividend running from 2017 to 2021. So we have the DPS for 2017, DPS 2018, DPS 2019, DPS 2020, then DPS 2021. So we have DPS 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021. So this dividend has been growing for how many years? We have from 2017 to 2018, this is 1 year. Then from 2018 to 2019, these are 2 years. 2019 to 2020, these are 3 years. 2020 to 2021, these are 4 years. Where you are given the dividend per share, the DPS per share, and you are required to calculate the growth rate. You use the formula D naught or DN, expected dividend. The expected dividend will be equal to the D naught into 1 plus G raised to N. This is the general formula, where D naught is the previous dividend, the earlier dividend per share, and that will be the DPS for 2027, and DN is the expected dividend. We will need to calculate the expected dividend, and the D naught is the earliest dividend. Earliest dividend is in 2027. Okay, the latest dividend is in 2021. So D naught is the latest dividend per share. D naught is the earliest dividend per share in 2017. The latest dividend is in 2021. And G is the growth rate. N is the number of periods. We have seen the number of periods here is 1, 2, 3, 4 periods. So this general formula helps us determine the growth rate. And out of this formula, we can make G the subject of the formula, which will be equal to G being equal to the nth root of the latest DPS, which is Dn, over the earlier or earliest DPS, which is D naught 2017. So in other words, the growth rate will be equal to the fourth root, because these are 4 periods, the fourth root of Dn over D naught minus 1. So we subtract 1. So this is the formula that can help us determine the growth rate. So the growth then will be equal to the fourth root of Dn, which is the DPS for 2021. The DPS for 2021 from this question is 2.3 shillings per share. 2.3 shillings per share. We divide by D naught. D naught is the dividend in 2017, which is 1.5. We divide by 1.5. Then what we get here, we subtract 1. This will give us the growth rate. It will give us the growth rate. The rest is the work of the calculator. So we take the calculator and determine the growth rate. Take the calculator and determine the growth rate. So we take the fourth root of 2.3 minus 1.5 minus 1. This one gives me 12.5. This is equal to 12.5% is the growth rate. 12.5% is a growth rate. So we come and insert in this formula. We have the D naught. What is the D naught from the question again? D naught is 2.7. D naught from the question is 2.7. Current DPS, yes, 2.7. The current DPS is 2.7. 2.7 into 1 plus G. Our G is 12.5%. Convert 12.5% into decimal, we are going to get 0.125 divided by KE. What is the cost of equity? Look at the question. Look at the first table there. The shareholders' required rate of return is 15%. That is what we are going to use to discount this amount. Our cost of equity is a cost of equity of Rona Hotel. So we are using the required rate of return of Rona Hotel. Rona Hotel is the acquirer. So we use the rate of return of the acquirer, which is 15%. So 15%, KE for the acquirer is 15%. Convert 15% into decimal, you have 0.15 minus growth rate 0.125. So that then will give us the value of this target using the dividend growth model. The rest is the work of the calculator. So I take my machine, then I do the calculation. I punch in these inputs. I punch in the inputs, so I'm getting here 121.5. So this is equal to 121.5. This is the value of the share. This is the value of one share. So we multiply by the number of shares to get the total value of the target. The total value of the target. So the market value of the firm, will be equal to 121.5 times the 5 million. 5 million is the number of shares. So this will be equal to 121.5 times 5 million. I'm getting 607.5 million. 607.5 million is the value of the target firm using the dividend growth model. So we've answered part 2 of this question. We move to part 3 of the question, where we are required to determine the value of the target using the discounted free cash flow basis. Using the discounted free cash flow basis. This is Roman 3. Discounted free cash flow. And as the name suggests, we are going to get the future values of these cash flows. Then we discount the future values. That will give us the value of the target using the discounted free cash flows basis. So do we have information on the future cash flows? Look at the question. Future cash flows, look at note number 3. Note number 2 reads, Rona Restaurant Limited estimates that the free cash flows from Duet Restaurant Limited at the end of the first year will be 2.5 million. That will be at the end of the first year. And this will grow at an annual rate of 5% for the 4 years, after which the growth rate will revert to the historical earnings dividend growth rate in perpetuity. So that information on note number 2 is going to help us determine the future cash flows. the future cash flows. We'll calculate the future cash flows, then we discount these future free cash flows, the future free cash flow. So we'll have a table. Let's have a table. Column 1 is the year. These are 4 years. So we have year 1. That's the first column. The next column is a future free cash flows. Future free cash flows. For example, at the end of year 1, we read it will be 2.5 million. So this will be in millions. This is 2.5 million. 2.5 million. Year 1 is 2.5 million. In year 2, we read, look at the information. We read that at the Rona Restaurant Limited estimates that the free cash flows from Duet Restaurant at the end of the first year will be 2.5 million shillings, and this will grow at an annual rate of 5% for the first 4 years. For the first 4 years, after which the growth rate will revert to. So at the end of year 2, it's going to grow at the rate of 5%. So we are going to have 2.5, we grow it 1.0. Is it 5%? Yeah, 0.5. This will give us the future cash flow, which is equal to 2.5 million. 2.5 times 1.05. This I get 2.625. 2.625. Then year 3, this 2.625 will grow again at the rate of 5%. So I multiply by 1.05. I grow it again times 1.05. This is equal to 2.75625. Year 4, this will grow again at 5%. So I'll apply 1.05. So here I have 2.75625 times 1.05. This is equal to 22.8940.625. So these are the future cash flows, which I come here and discount present value interest factor. What is the rate? We need to discount these future cash flows because we are using the method discounted free cash flow. This free cash flow, we discount them back to the present values. Now, what is the discounting rate here? The discounting rate is 12%. This is 12% N. 12% N. 12% N. 12% N. Then this will be the present value. The last column is the present values. Present values, the last column. So I check from my table. I check from my table the discounting rate. If I don't have a table, I just divide. I don't have my tables, but the rate here is 12%. So I just take 1 divide by 0.12. Just take 1. I divide by 0.12 raised to 1. Okay, this is 1. So now I think I have the present value interest factors. Yeah, I have the present value interest factors. the present value interest factors at 12% year 1. This is equal to 0.8929. Present value interest factor 12%, 2 years, 0.7972. 3 periods, we have 0.7118. Then we have last one here is 0.6355. Then there is a last thing here, candidates, we read in note number 2. Note number 2, we read that and this will grow at an annual rate of 5% for the first 4 years, after which the growth rate will revert to the historical earnings growth dividend rate in perpetuity. So we have to get the future values of this amount in year 4. So we have the P naught in year 4, candidates, which is equal to D naught. We grow it again, 1 plus G over KE minus G. So this will be equal to the 2. This amount we have it here. This will be 2.8940,625 into 1. The growth rate again, the growth rate is still 12.5%. So this will be 1.12%. That will be 1.125 over KE. The KE here is 15, so we have 0.15 minus 0.125. So what is the future value here? Future value, this is 0. I'm going to take the 2.8940,625 times 1.125. Then I divide 0.15 minus that, 0.15 minus that. So I'm getting here 130. This is 130.2328.125. This will discount at the same rate of the discounting factor here is 0.6355. So these are the discounting factors. These are the future values. Multiply the discounting factors with the future values to get the present values. So the first year is 2.5 times 0.8929. This amount is equal to 2.23225. 2.23225. Next, I have 2.625 times 0.7972. That gives me 2.09. 2.09. 2.09. 2.09. 265. Next, I have 2.75625 times 0.7118. This gives me 1.96. 1.96. 189. 875. Fourth year we have 2.8940625 times 0.6355. That will be equal to 1.839. 1.839. 1.839. 176. 719. Then lastly, we have 130.2328125 times 0.6355. This should be equal to 82.762. 82.7 what? 762. 762. 762. 952. 952. 34. So get the sum. Get this total of the present values. What is the total of the present values? 90.88892 7809. So that is and these figures are in millions. These figures are in millions. These ones are in millions. So if you are to get the value of this target, we multiply these 90.88892.7809 times 1 million. Times 1 million. Times 1 million. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there is a point there. So this will be equal to 90,888,927. 927,000. So that is the value of this target company when we use the discounted free cash flows method. You understand, candidates? You understand? Do you have any question? Have you understood? We are working out illustrative examples on mergers and acquisitions. There are 6 models that we covered in our previous sessions. Today we have illustrated 3. That is, number 1, the PE ratio basis. Using the PE ratio basis, the value of this target company is 222 million. Then using the dividend growth model, the value of this company is 607.5 million. Using the discounted free cash flows basis, the value of this company, target company, is 90,888,927 shillings. So when using the discounted free cash flows basis, you use the information provided in the question to first of all get the future values. These are the future values. Future free cash flows. Future free cash flows. Then these future free cash flows are discounted back to the present terms using the present value interest factor at the rate of 12%. So these are the present values, which are then get the sum here to determine the value of the target company using the discounted free cash flows. As for the PE ratio, we simply take the PE ratio and then we multiply by the earnings. The question we had, the earnings per share, then we multiply by 5 million to get the total earnings. When you apply the PE ratio on the total earnings, that will give you the value of this target company using the PE ratio. Using the PE ratio. So value of the company using the PE ratio is equal to PE ratio times earnings, which is equal to 12 times times 3.7 times 5 million. For the dividend growth model, here is the formula. This is the formula. P naught is the market value of a share. P naught is the market value of the share. The general formula is you take the dividend, the current dividend per share, you grow it, then you divide by the cost of equity minus G. In this question, the growth rate was not provided. We had to work it out using this formula. This is the general formula. When you make G the subject of the formula, this is the formula you get. So we use this formula to calculate the growth rate, which is 12.5%. This was not provided because we had to have a working for the growth rate, which we did. Then the 12.5% we came and plugged into this formula. 2.7 times 1.125 divided by 0.15. This is the cost of equity minus the growth rate, 0.125. So that gave us the market value of a share. This is one share. You understand? Then when you apply by the number of shares, 5 million, that gives us the market value of the total market value of the shares. That will be the value of this company using the dividend growth model. So that's it for today's lesson on mergers and acquisitions. Thank you for attending the lesson. Bye-bye.